Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point on AFR Talk. This is Focal Point, the home of muscular Christianity on conservative talk radio. Focal Point is the home of high-definition radio, more content per cubic inch of air than any other place on your radio dial. At least that is our goal. Now, you are aware, as we talked about yesterday, we brought you the breaking news yesterday, that the Boy Scouts are on the cusp. I love that word, cusp. That is a good word. The word is cusp. They are on the cusp of reversing the policy that they've had in place for over 100 years. They celebrated their 100th anniversary in 1910, and part of the Boy Scout oath, part of the Boy Scout pledge is that they will be morally straight and that they will be reverent. And that's been their guiding principle. That's why they have not allowed homosexual scoutmasters, even homosexual scouts, for 102 years. They're on the edge, on the verge of rescinding that policy, and they will meet next week as an executive committee in Irving, Texas, to make that decision. And here with us to help sort through some of these issues is Warren Cole Smith. Warren is an outstanding journalist, writes for World Magazine. I read his stuff virtually every chance I get. Warren, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher.
Thank you, Brian. Great to be with you.
Well, good to have you with us, Warren. I know you and I talked yesterday on the phone as I was working up a column that I posted on our website, and that's up, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. You can go see it at our blog site, Rightly Concerned. The title of the piece is Jerry Sandusky, the new poster boy for scouting. And Warren, talk to us. You've done a lot of writing, have done a lot of research into the Boy Scouts. You've got a piece on World Magazine today with the word surrender in the title. So talk to us about how you see what's going on with the Boy Scouts right now.
Well, Brian, first of all, I should let you know that I like to keep my journalistic distance from issues that I cover, but I must tell you that this one has been tough. I'm an Eagle Scout myself. My two sons are Eagle Scouts. Because of my oldest son's involvement in the Boy Scouts, he became aware of the Air Force Academy, and he just graduated from the United States Air Force Academy back in May and is now a second lieutenant and out in California.
Congratulations.
So, I met my wife at Philmont Scout Ranch in New Mexico. It's the largest youth camp in the world. It's the Boy Scouts' largest high-adventure base. Well, I spent 7 years on staff at Philmont Scout Ranch. So I have a long association. My father was my cub master when I was 9 years old. So, and I'm 54 years old today. So my involvement with the Scouts, goes back 45 years. So I'll have to admit that I can't be quite as disinterested as I would like to be about this. But the basic facts are these, that as you rightly said, Brian, in your introduction, for 102 years, the Boy Scouts have maintained that homosexuals could not be leaders. But within the past week, in fact, Monday, they announced that they are going to revisit that decision at a board meeting next week. The headquarters of the Boy Scouts of America is in Dallas, a North Dallas suburb, and they'll be meeting next week and making this decision. And I will tell you that before we start heaping a lot of blame on the Boy Scouts, I think it's important that we remember that they have been holding the line on this issue for many, many years. And you may recall a few years ago, Brian, that there was a great controversy about the Boy Scouts allowing atheists in or not. And because the Boy Scout oath says, and this is an oath that even a tenderfoot scout, which is the youngest 11-year-old scout, has to memorize, on my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country. And atheists objected to having to pledge, to pledge honor to God, that they will do their best to do their duty to God. And the Boy Scouts stood firm on that. They said that, no, you have to pledge obedience to God. And many atheist groups sued them. Individuals sued them. It cost them millions of dollars to defend themselves against those suits. And they have been sued on this issue of homosexuality. In fact, in the late 1990s, an Eagle Scout named James Dale took a case all the way to the Supreme Court. Again, the Boy Scouts won, but it cost the Boy Scouts, in that case, tens of millions of dollars to defend itself over a multi-year period of time. So I want to be, I don't want to throw the Boy Scouts under the bus. They have been strong on these issues for a very long time. But a couple of things recently have happened. The forces of political correctness in the corporate arena have brought a great deal of financial pressure on the Boy Scouts. Brian, as you know, many large corporations have matching gift programs. so that if the employees of those companies will make, say a $100 contribution to the Boy Scouts, the corporation will match it. It's a nice benefit, and it encourages charity and philanthropy among the employees. But several corporations, including UPS and Merck, have decided within the last couple of months that they would no longer match gifts made to the Boy Scouts of America. And these are just two of many that have been essentially put up to this change, these corporations, by the Human Rights Campaign and other pro-homosexual and liberal-leaning organizations. And the combination of the cost of the lawsuits plus the corporate financial support drying up has put the Boy Scouts in a very difficult financial situation. And I believe that, as much as anything, is what's motivating this change.
So it seems like maybe they've just gotten worn down. Their coffers are empty as they fought one court case after another. Corporate funding is drying up. And so this may be, it almost sounds to me, Warren, like they're at a desperate place. They're out of money. They're on the verge of bankruptcy. And this may be sort of a desperate flailing attempt to try to right the ship and save the organization. Maybe, I know there are a couple of gay activists, sympathizers, let's put it that way, that are CEOs of major American companies that sit on the executive council of the Boy Scouts that I believe have been putting a lot of pressure on the organization to change their policies with regard to sexual orientation. Maybe some promises have been made to the Scouts. Look, if you will change this policy, we'll see to it that corporate dollars once again begin to flow into the coffers. I have no idea about that. I don't know if you do. But it strikes me as just kind of a desperation move on a part of the Scouts. And, we were talking about this morning around here, Warren. And by the way, we've sent an action alert out. Those of you that receive our action alerts, we sent an action alert out this morning to 2.3 million people on our network, urging them to call the Scouts and urge them to not to capitulate, not to compromise, to stand firm and hold to their historic moral standard in this regard. But Warren, talk to us for a moment. I mean, the concern we had is if the Boy Scouts surrender, to use the word from your piece, Dave, if they surrender on this, I fear for the survival of the Boy Scouts as an organization. What's your sense of what would happen if the Boy Scouts do indeed knuckle under on this one?
Well, I think that's a great question. I don't think anyone really knows the answer to that question. Yogi Berra once said predictions are dangerous, especially predictions about the future. So I'm not sure I want to, make a prediction about the future. But I will tell you that we do have a model. The Girl Scouts has started allowing lesbian leadership into their ranks. And what we saw when that happened was that alternative organizations sprang up. One is called the American Heritage Girls, and that organization was founded in 1995 as a conservative alternative to the Girl Scouts of America, and that organization now has 20,000 members in 48 states. Now, that doesn't compare to the more than 2 million members that the Girl Scouts have. The Boy Scouts, by the way, including their adult leaders, have about 3 million members right now. So, I can't say for sure that people will leave the Scouts in droves, but I can tell you that there are many who are concerned about this, and that there are many who likely will either leave or not be as enthusiastic about their support of the Boy Scouts as they have in the past.
Well, it seems to be a couple of possible ramifications. One is recruiting new Scouts in the future. In other words, I would see parents now being pretty hesitant. I'm not sure I can trust the Boy Scouts of America. I don't know who my boy's Scout leader is going to be. I don't know what kind of leadership, what kind of models he's going to have. You can have some single moms, I think, would be deeply worried. I mean, one of the reasons they value the Boy Scouts, they know that their sons need masculine influence, role models. They're looking at this as a way to find that. And this could be deeply disturbing to them because of the way this rattles your confidence in the organization. So looking ahead, you could see maybe they're going to run into some difficulty bringing people in at the front end of the pipeline. And then the other thing, Warren, that I'm concerned about is, the Boy Scouts are going to allow each individual troop to make its own decision, but these Scout troops often do things in their district, in their region with other Scout troops. They participate in the National Jamboree. And you can see now where parents are going to say, look, I'm pretty concerned about my son going off to this regional event where he's going to be mixing with leaders. I have no idea what their sexual preference is. So it seems to me there's a couple of reasons for legitimate concern there.
Well, I think that's exactly right. I mean, the Boy Scouts of America has been they're not a Christian organization. I want to be clear about that, but they have held to many Judeo-Christian principles. You mentioned the Scout Law a while ago. Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, and there's 12 of them in the Scout Law. And the Boy Scouts have been a training ground for young boys and young men who, as you rightly said, Brian, sometimes they don't have appropriate male influences in their lives. These Scoutmasters, I can tell you story after story of Scoutmasters and other Scout leaders that have just had extremely positive influence. In fact, even in my own life, my Scoutmasters when I was growing up, not only my father as a Cub Master, but other men have become role models for me, some of whom I'm still in touch with even today. I would also tell you, Brian, that I don't think we really appreciate the full effect that the Scouts have had on American culture generally. Since its founding 102 years ago, at least 100 million boys and men have participated in the Boy Scouts of America. In many cases, these boys were exposed to the first time to opportunities for leadership, 12 and 13-year-old boys being patrol leaders, 13 and 14-year-old being troop leaders. They elected their own patrol leaders and troop leaders. They were exposed to democratic processes. They were exposed to lessons in leadership, opportunities to practice leadership in a low-risk, apprentice-style situation. And I believe that as a result of just that influence alone, we have an American culture that allows democratic institutions and civic institutions to thrive. The list of Eagle Scouts who have gone on to positions of leadership in this country, we'd be here all day just reading the list. Everyone from President Gerald Ford to former Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld to Neil Armstrong, the first man on the moon, probably a dozen sitting congressmen and senators right now are former Eagle Scouts. And, the influence, the positive influence that Scouting has had just on the sort of the fabric of American culture has been profound and will be diminished by this move.
So we encourage you. Talking here with Warren Cole Smith has been my guest, a journalist with World Magazine, outstanding journalist. Encourage you to go to World Magazine, go to their website, subscribe to the magazine. Warren Cole Smith done great work in writing about the Boy Scouts. Encourage you, when you get that email alert, take action. Let the Boy Scouts know how you feel. Warren, thank you for being with us, my friend.
Thank you, Brian. Great to be with you.
Focal Point, AFR Talk, back in 2.